जिंदगी में ऐसा काम चुनिए जिसे आप पसंद करते हैं, फिर पूरी जिंदगी में काम नहीं करना पड़ेगा. As Confucius once said, choose the job you love, and then you will never have to work your whole life. Hi, I'm Amitha. Join me weekly as I chat with guests who will inspire and discuss trending topics that will help us make our own mark in the spotlight. आज हमारे साथ स्टूडियो में है एक ऐसी कलाकार जो अपनी कला से सारी दुनिया में परिवर्तन लाने की कोशिश कर रही है. I welcome to the studio Artistic Director of Limitless Productions, a writer, and a public speaker, Ms. ASHIMA Suri. Hi, ASHIMA.
Hi, Amitha.
It's a pleasure to have you with me in the studio today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so fascinated by the mission you have taken on, especially through Limitless Productions, just being one of the multiple hats you wear.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that Limitless Productions is out there, an Indo-contemporary dance theater company that uses performance arts as a tool for social change.
Mm-hmm.
Has this always been your dream since childhood? Like, how did this come to be?
Yes, it's always been my dream to create. When I was younger, I would kind of be a bit of a loner in school, mm-hmm. because I moved around a lot. So during recess, for example, I would sort of sit on the sidelines and I would imagine all the children and all the things that are on the playground as props. So I would imagine a production. I knew that this was something that not only inspired me but also helped me to cope with moving around as much as I did as a child.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Canada for the most part, but I was born in England, and then I went back and forth between the UK and Canada, and then I moved to the Middle East, Abu Dhabi, for 4 years, mm-hmm. and that was definitely an experience. And it had its own creativity there that really allowed me to explore the contemporary side of what I do.
But in South Asian culture, women are not given the freedom to do that creativity or pursue that creativity. What were some of the challenges, if any, that you faced?
The limitations sort of put on by your parents, and these are sort of unknown limitations, and I think that a lot of South Asian parents would do the same thing. So I was put into Bharatanatyam, which is a traditional form of Indian classical, and it's beautiful. When I was younger, I disliked it. I didn't like all the costuming that was on me. I didn't like having to squat down all the time. It was just...
but I'm sure you're strong now.
Yeah, I mean, now I appreciate it for what it is. I see it in a very different light, and I'm able to blend it in the work that I do. But when I was younger, I was still exploring who I was as a person, and then through that medium, I was also trying to explore my creative venture and where I wanted to go and where I wanted to take this. And so the community that I was around, specifically the South Asian community, there wasn't really any sort of role models that I could look up to, where I could say, hey, wow, you're doing contemporary work, that's really different. Or even in theater, talking about bold issues, issues of bullying and sexuality, topics that we really address in Limitless Productions, and things that are really near and dear to my heart, to tackle issues that are really real, especially to young people.
Now Limitless Productions is even international. Tell us a little bit about Limitless Productions. You went from being that creative youth to conceiving Limitless Productions. How did that come to be?
For years, I thought about doing a fusion between Indian classical or just Indo stories and contemporary ballet and contemporary technique. But I don't even want to sort of pigeonhole it into that, because I think we're just limitless. You know what I mean? We just do. And our first piece was called No Limitations. And I was just so excited. It was a 2-minute number, and I remember how long it took me to actually put together. It took me weeks to put this together, and there was definitely a lot of barriers as well too. And I was working out of a party room, like somebody generously gave me access to a party room. I didn't have studio space. I knew nothing of studio space at that time. And we all just did this pro bono. We just worked from our heart and then, you know, performed. But I mean, there was barriers while we were doing that. But the high that I received at that point, and it's the high where you feel like, oh my God, you just made a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the greatest gift in the world when you can make a difference. Yeah. And when we got our first grant in 2010. I remember just having like tears welled up in my eyes, and you know, thinking, oh my God, like someone believes in me, someone believes in this, someone's willing to invest in this, and it was just such a gigantic leap for me at that time, because I can tell that most people, when they see what I'm doing, they're like, oh, but you're doing it in your pastime, or it's a hobby, or can't really take it seriously.
You being the eldest boy,
I think
given the greatest responsibility,
and this is what I do all the time. And I'm thinking, well, this can't be a hobby. You know, it can't be just something I just do in the past. It's not like I'm, you know, just doing it an hour a week or whatever. I think this all the time. Yeah. And I think that's a clue. If anyone's out there who's thinking about following their own dreams and their passions, and the clue is that you think about it. Even if you're not doing it and you're working in a 9-to-5 job, you're still thinking about what if. Or another clue would be feeling jealous of somebody doing what you want to do, right? That's an indicator of, oh, well, maybe that's something that you should be doing. Fear doesn't really exist. Fear is just all in our head. And it's just just something that we've sort of manifested and made it way bigger than we really need to make it. But our confidence builds when we face fear head on.
So I must ask you about the public speaking side of you. Do you get to talk at events, or do you create your own events where you talk at?
Well, I do public speaking in a very different, like in different places, in different capacities. Sometimes I go to organizations and I do workshops on positive thinking and confidence building, coping with fear and rejection. And sometimes it's employment related, getting the job that you really want, not just any job, but a job that you really would love. And because I do all these different types of workshops, I find that it's even more important for me to live that. Because I don't want to be someone who just goes out there and says, go live your dream, and then I don't do it myself.
So it's like practice what you preach.
Right. So I don't want to do the double standard thing. I want to be able to say, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. These are the barriers that I've had to cross. I have a lot more barriers to cross. But if I do it, you can do it as well too. And I think it's really important for people to see that reflection of each other, that we're all one, we're all the same. We all come onto this earth, you know, with a talent, at least one talent that we know of. I think we have multiple talents, many things that we can do. But one talent that we know of, start with that one talent and then work your way into like starting to see more of who you are and your skill sets. In addition, I get to interview as well too, and also be able to write about the experiences. And
is that part of Limitless Productions, or is that with some other organization?
So I've been doing recently some interviewing with Fuchsia magazine, and now Limitless Productions has extended its brand, which I'm really excited about, to I Am Limitless TV.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's on YouTube, and we showcase webisodes twice a week, and it's filled with inspiration. Because I really feel that the world and the universe needs that. I think sometimes,
you know what, I would agree too.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of negative out there in the news and haters.
And we get inundated with like a ton of information. thrown at us through the news sources. And one of the things I mention when I'm doing my workshops is, to just turn that TV off and just select your news source. Select where you want to get your information from. And so I Am Limitless TV is really designed to profile people who are inspiring and motivating just by being who they are, without it sort of being like a forced, this is kind of what they got into. But it's just, they are who they are, and that's what makes them inspiring. In addition, meditation techniques and breathing and inspirational moments. I think these are all things that I wish I had when I was growing up. And I think that there's many people who feel the same way. Yeah.
It almost sounds like we turn to the outside or the external resources to validate ourselves or to find that comfort or to find that confidence, whereas we should be looking within for that kind of energy, and then use that energy to use that energy so that we may be able to use the external resources to what we would like to do. Yeah.
I mean, looking within is such an important part, but in order for you to be able to look within, you almost need to separate yourself. Like when I say separate yourself from the people that you know, the environment that you know. When I created ASHIMASURI.com, which was a couple of years ago, what had happened was that I felt like this sudden need to let go of a lot of things in my life. And it was such a forceful urge to do that, that I just went along with it. I went with the flow. I gave away clothes, I gave away items, I disconnected myself from my peers, and I just brought myself to the studio. And it's interesting how being able to let go and then giving myself that space allowed me to get a whole new different perspective in my own creativeness. And from going into the studio then to being able to develop the website, video, I mean, it was all done within weeks. It was done in a really fast pace, and it did that because it just felt right. I didn't allow myself to be influenced by any external person or by the environment. I just allowed myself to be guided. And in order for you to get guided, you really need to separate and let go. Find ways that you can heal and cope with that healing, and then let it go. Right? Maybe it's forgiving somebody. Maybe it's confronting someone. Whatever it might be, find what that is for you, and then make peace with it. And you can do it in a ceremonial way too, which is always a really nice thing. And it's, maybe it's burning a piece of paper on a candle, and
something tangible, I guess.
Something physical that's in front of you, and then it kind of feels like, okay, now it's gone. Sometimes we need to physicalize something in order for us to feel like it's gone. Because going inside is really, it's tough. And whenever I do my meditation techniques in my workshops, we do it for 15-20 minutes long. And I find, basically most of my workshops, when I do that exercise, there's always someone in tears after. And that's because they just don't go inside. There's just so much inside, so much pain, guilt, whatever it might be, right? Parents' approval, that's a huge one. Not feeling good enough. And so these are things that within Limitless Productions and I Am Limitless TV, I talk about this with the artists, as well as I talk about this with the audiences. I talk about it on TV. I just talk about how we can make ourselves feel better. And I really, that's something that the world really needs. The world needs people to love themselves more.
Very well said. I'm just in awe, Ashima, of all the different things you do that comes out of that passion for creativity. I also have to mention, though, I hear you're a new mom as well.
I am.
How do you do all this?
I don't know.
You truly are limitless. You're really carrying...
my parents named me ASHIMA, which means limitless.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, so appropriately, they already knew.
They just knew, and I think that's sort of what keeps driving me forward. It's like, well, my name means limitless. I need to, you know, continuously believe it. And it's definitely a process. It's a journey. My daughter is amazing, and she's almost a year old.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
And you have kept working through the whole process?
I have. I mean, I had a C-section, so it took some time for me to heal, but like from a physical point of view, but I was always still creating in my mind.
Wow.
I mean, that was what got me through again. Like, it always gets me through. I would be sitting there completely bedbound and not being able to move for a number of weeks. Yet I had, like, so many visions in my head and just so many things that just mentally and emotionally charged me, which I believe that women really need. I made it, I feel like it would be really easy for me to just, you know, kind of step aside and then just sort of take on this new role as a mom and forget everything else.
I was just going to ask, you know, like in a South Asian culture like ours, sometimes when they, you know, it's the stereotypical, again, going back to, you're a mom now. That's what you focus on and forget everything else.
Yeah, so this is a whole new different chapter and a barrier for me, because it's the idea of the self-approval. And being able to say, hey, I'm a mom, but that doesn't mean that my creativity stops, or that my work stops, or that my passion just suddenly stops and then it's only focused on the child. I think as moms, it's really important to continue with your passion. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to work in a job. It just means find something in your life that makes you feel good. More often than not, women as mothers sort of put themselves right last on the list, and that self-love, that doesn't happen anymore. And they're just like, you know, and that's where I think a lot of the depression comes from.
Yeah, postpartum depression, you hear about a lot.
A lot. And the first year is definitely more crucial, but it actually keeps going on. I mean, you know, the amount of things that you need to juggle, it's exhausting. And if you don't have support, it's even more exhausting. So it's about finding ways and actually having a plan before you even become a mom. That's also really good too. And seeing what it is that's right for you, you know, and how you sort of fit into this whole new picture. I think a lot of moms to be sort of go into motherhood, kind of getting a big shock in their life, that it consumes that much of their life, and they haven't planned for it, and they haven't found that support network, or, you know, they're sort of like reaching out for that support. But we as a
very good word, reach out. Yes.
Reaching out. Yeah. But we as a society do not ask for help.
Ego, I would think.
Right.
Times,
yeah. And I think that what we need to do is be able to reach out, even if it's anonymously, and explore different parts to us. But dance for me, and creativity and theater, this is a place where I need to explore, and I need to do this for myself. And my daughter is watching me, so I find that it's really important for me to make sure that I continue with my own passions.
It's almost like setting an example for the next generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all possible. It is. You just, I mean, you have to find a way. Talk to your partner about it as well, too. Talking to your partner about how to juggle your own work and live your passion is a really important thing to do, again, before you become a mom. But even if you are a mom right now, you know,
you're showing it, you can do it.
You gotta, you can do it. And just gather people around you to support you, right? Because you can't do it alone, for sure. Get the people around you that you can trust, who are on your side. Don't just get anybody, and let them help you build your way in this, you know, new chapter of your life of motherhood.
Thank you so much once again for sharing your journey to the spotlight with us and for inspiring us today.
Great. Thank you so much, Amitha, for having me. It's been great chatting with you.
And I would love to chat with you, and also come out and check out some of your workshops. So we can find information on limitlessproductions.ca or ashimasuri.com. We wish you all the best for all the future adventures that Limitless Productions has taken on. And also, I am Limitless TV. That's on YouTube.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Miss ASHIMA Suri, who has inspired us today and told us and shown us that the passion comes from within us. And don't worry about all the obstacles around you. Go for your passion, and all the positive energy will come to you and make your dreams possible. Well, that's a wrap for this week. Thank you for watching us. We will continue to bring you guests who are inspiring and bring you trending topics that will help you achieve your own spotlight. Do follow us on Facebook and Twitter. I would love to hear from you, so also write to me. Until next week, this is Amitha signing off. But I'm going to leave you with a word of wisdom from Dalai Lama. प्रसन्नता पहले से निश्चित कोई चीज नहीं होती, वो हमारे कर्मों से ही होती है।